There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
We're live.
What's up?
What's going on?
Episode 121.
121?
Right? Holy moly. Okay, so it is 6:35-ish Eastern, 6:32, 33.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
We are talking about rod blanks tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, all things rod blanks. It's been a minute since we had a show on rod blanks, but
yeah,
we're going to go through the usual suspects, action versus power, and all those good things, and we're going to talk a little bit about even cutting blanks, specifically from the butt end, not from the tip.
Oh, no, I'm going to cut one from the tip,
we're going to show you, that's one of your favorite things to do, isn't it?
Cut a blank?
No, show the bad side of rod building, so those at home don't do what Chris does on this show.
Not that it's wrong, I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But,
no, there's obviously some adverse effects from cutting from the tip. You can certainly do it with the appropriate reason, but typically we cut from the butt end. And obviously we're gonna open it up. We're gonna have lots of questions. Hopefully, we have lots of questions pouring in.
For sure.
So if you guys have any questions about what blank for this application or this and that, this is the show to ask that question. So
yes, and we're even gonna do a little decorative portion of the show. We have metallic series blanks. We've got mud hole color series blanks. And we're going to show them all tonight.
all of them.
All of them. With a bunch of different color threads. So you can see we took the time to do a bunch of colors. And yeah, that's all them there. And we have them all notated, put finish on them. And we're going to show you guys what we really like in terms of colors. And I did a couple on there that, as Hunter said, I don't like. So we're going to walk through some of those. So if you have a question about colors throughout the show, we are going to answer those as well. So that's, yeah, exactly. This one right here.
What you got?
He said, I cut the tips for saltwater bait rods.
Yeah, you certainly can.
Absolutely.
We're just gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it and go through maybe some parameters or a little bit of context of why you shouldn't go too far with cutting. If you trim a little bit here and there, that's fine. But you hack 6 inches or 4 inches off the tip, and you have a drastically different blank now. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we'll actually show you guys on the board what that looks like.
Yes.
Pre-cut and post-cut.
There's going to be a lot of deflection board tonight. There's going to be 0 Chris Adams on the whiteboard, so everybody at home can be super thankful of that. I know that's a low point of the show usually. And anytime they give me a marker, everybody's like, oh, no, not this again. So no whiteboard, all deflection board. Yeah, we got a little housekeeping though. What do we have for those in the area? Maybe.
Yes.
Probably not going to fly in for this one, but if you're close by.
Yes, so this Saturday, we are having our first annual Mudhole Charity Golf Classic. So this is a fundraiser golf event for 3 great organizations and charities that we partner with and work with. CCA of Florida is one of those. Seminole Junior Anglers, it's a local high school fishing club for Seminole County, Florida. And also Project Healing Waters. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Project Healing Waters. They do a lot of work with veterans, getting them out on the water. So this golf tournament is, we're giving away all the money back to these charities. So super cool event. We do have spots still remaining. We're selling single tickets. If you're, if you don't have anybody to partner up with or have a foursome, you can buy a solo ticket. No problem there. And we also do have the 4 packs of tickets available. So tomorrow night at midnight is the last day to register, though. So again, if you're in the Orlando area or within a driving distance of Twin Rivers Golf Course here in Oviedo, Tomorrow night at midnight, last chance to sign up. It's this Thursday. This
Wednesday.
Saturday.
Yes.
The event's this Saturday, the
Yes.
26th. So,
Or, if you have access to a private jet, just,
yeah, hop on
come
down.
right in. It'll be a ball. We'll be out there, not being all good at golf, but
Having
it's
fun.
for a good cause.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll have a few cold beverages. Mission Barbecue is going to cater.
Yeah.
Can't remember if you said that or not.
Absolutely. Lots of great raffle prizes. You donated an awesome guide trip. We've got Mr.
Yep.
Terry Scroggins.
Big Show.
Big Show donated a guide trip,
Yeah.
a day trip, whether you want to go bass fishing,
Crappie
crappie fishing,
fishing,
anything,
whatever.
whatever.
Oh,
And he'll be there, I believe, Saturday as well. He's gonna.
I think he's gonna be
show
there.
up with his boat. And,
I'll have the skiff on the driving range.
Yeah.
He'll have his Ranger out there as well. So yeah. All right. We know you guys watch the show to hear us talk, but we really, really know why you stay, and that's for the giveaways. We've got some giveaways tonight. We're going to do a CRB Spine Finder for the first giveaway tonight. The second giveaway is going to be the CRB Deflection Toolkit. So you get the actual deflection graph, and then you also get the tool portion that you hang on the wall along with the graph so that you can put rod blanks in it. Sometimes you can put, well, not sometimes. You can put built rods in it. You can put blanks in it. You can compare blank to blank, built rod to blank. You can do all that kind of stuff. And then the grand prize tonight is going to be a Signature Series rod kit of choice. I've got 3. You've got 3. Big Show's got them. Matt Steffen's got them. Mr. Jim Crowley's got them.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that covers it. Yeah.
Got a bunch of great rod kits. And yeah. So, all right. I think we can go ahead and jump into the
Let me
oh yeah.
let me do this real quick.
Please
So,
do that. Because I filled up my side and we're over to
now
that
we're
side.
over to my side. So we have an addition to the sticker wall. Now this one wasn't mailed in. This was actually a special delivery.
Hand delivered.
Hand delivered from my dad, Bob, who attended the Mastering Rod Building event up in Orange Beach last weekend, I believe it was. And Savannah and her dad, Jim, attended the event, and they passed along a sticker for us to put up on the wall. So shout out to Savannah, Coble, and Jim. Hope you guys are watching. And let's get this sticker up on our wall here. Always the toughest parts. I should have prepped ahead of time.
Between pronunciation and getting the stickers apart,
All right, here we go.
we just
No pressure.
barely.
No pressure. Let's move that over. Don't block the camera. Got a good angle here. Where am I going to go with this? I'm going to go about right there.
Yeah, that'll work. Perfect.
Bang.
Sweet.
Cool. All right. Sorry
Awesome.
to cut you off there, but
You didn't
go
cut
ahead.
me
Go
off.
ahead.
Jim's in the chat tonight.
Nice. Hey,
Yeah.
Jim. How's it going?
Hopefully you pronounced the last name correctly.
I hope so. I can't get that one wrong.
He's right here. He'll let you know.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do power and action tonight. And this is one of those kind of sticking points. I think that it's one of those what really grinds my gears? I think everyone in the rod building community is this way. I know it's not just me, but it's something that you hear a lot of. And it's people confusing power and action. You hear it, one of the worst offenders, and I love all the pro bass anglers and everybody, and they go on stage and they get up there, they got their bags and they're like, man, I was out here with this pretty heavy action powered, thing, and while I was out there in the bushes and stuff. We understand that you're trying to, help and sell and tell everybody what's going on, but we also need to make sure that for all the anglers and rod builders out there, that we know what power is and we know what action is. So I hear people, say, well, it's a medium heavy action. That's what it is. It's got a really kind of heavy action tip there in it, and it's like,
Nope.
none of that. None of that is right. So, as most of us know, action is a speed. We're talking like fast, slow, extra fast, all that stuff. And we're going to take you over to the board here and kind of walk you through. And we know that most rod builders would know what fast and moderate fast and all that, but sometimes it's hard to see it or imagine it, so we're going to take it to the board tonight. And then, of course, your power is going to be medium, medium heavy, heavy, triple X heavy, ultra light, light, things like that. So, I mean, wasn't that, how do you feel about that?
I think you nailed it. I mean, you know, action is relating to deflection of the tip section, right? Or not even tip section, that's the wrong way to put it. The tip area in general, you know, and you can have an extra fast action that the tip only might deflect in the first 6 inches. And you might have a slow, or oftentimes called a parabolic action. That's going to extend all the way, you know, halfway into your rod blank. So you got a 7-foot, you know, rod or blank. You might see that blank or rod deflect, you know, 4 feet back, almost, you know, barely above the you know, your foregrip or reel seat.
Yeah.
So action, just in a nutshell, is, you know, deflection of the rod tip. And of course, power, just think opposite end. You know, you're going to go to the butt section and work up from there. So power typically relates to that butt section of the rod blank, you know, the first, say, 12, 18 inches. It can still extend a little bit further than that, you know.
sure.
We're actually going to show you in a few minutes, you know, whether we take like a, you know, a crankbait or a CB blank compared to like a mag taper blank that has a fast action compared to a mod fast action. You can still, even though we're primarily looking at action on the board, you can still kind of look from the butt section up and kind of see where that power starts to shut off.
Yeah.
And it's purely visual. You know, I could sit here all day and move my hands around and try to explain this, but
No, don't.
that graph and that board, they do not lie. And the reason I say that is because there's oftentimes we'll get sample blanks in and we'll, you know, deflect them on the carpet or even, you know, a wall or wherever you want to, and yeah, that one feels like a fast or mod fast, or yeah, I think that one matches that one. You put them up on the board and
you go, whoa.
And you're like, oh wow, I was a little off on my assumptions of touch and feel. So that's the great thing about the deflection graph.
Yes.
And the tool that goes along with it is it's consistent, it's accurate.
You can mark on it.
You can mark on it, you can compare blanks side by side. So if you guys have the space at home, you know, we sell this graph in an 8-foot and a 10-foot version. So
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about
it takes up some length in a workshop. But, you know, if you have the space, this is an invaluable tool and resource to use. And especially for you guys that want to, you know, recreate your favorite rod. If you have, you know, your favorite finished rod that you've had for 10, 20 years and you're like, oh, how do I replicate this and build, you know, from a blank to replicate this rod?
Yeah.
That's how
way.
you do it right there.
For sure. And you know, we do have it where there is a grid chart system on it and such. So, you know, the question usually comes up of like, okay, well, I have this rod blank at the house and then, or I have a built rod, I should say. Hunter was saying a built rod. You know, I have a built rod at the house and I want to compare it, but I kind of like don't know where to start. And you don't want to start buying rod blanks and it's like, oh, that one's not it. Send it, ship it, this, that, or the other. You can get with the customer service team at Mudhole. Bob does this a lot, but the guys and gals downstairs are phenomenal. So you can take your built rod, put it in a deflection chart. You can hang 8, 10, 12 ounces, 16 ounces, depending on what kind of blanket it is. You know, you're not going to take a 16-ounce weight and hang it on an ultralight. But if you take I'll just show you here real quick, and then we'll get to it. So you can take a 12-ounce weight, right? Did I surprise you guys here with that I'm running to the board too early? Huh? So we've got a 12-ounce weight, right? Here. And I've got a blank already in it, right? And we can deflect this rod blank, right? So you can actually deflect this rod blank, and you can come in with a marker, and you can say, okay, you know, one of the intersect points is at, you know, 84 and the letter O, and then there's one at G and G, and then there's one at, you know, right here, right at 5 feet, it intersects C. You know, and you can walk through this bend. Golly, why you gotta be zoomed in? It's like I turn around and it's like I can see if I've got cavities. So you can map this and then just tell us, I want a 7.3 and I hung 12 ounces on it and it intersected all these points, and we can get you. I mean, Uncle Bob can probably get you if you just tell him like, oh yeah, I got a Falcon so-and-so that's medium heavy or whatever. The only problem that we try to stay away from, you go like, oh no, it's got to be a medium heavy extra fast. There's a bunch of rod blanks that are made in factories that are turned into completed rods that you buy off the shelf that say they're extra fast and they're not extra fast. And it's something that manufacturers do. They call it an extra fast, but they don't want to make it extra fast because then they're like, oh, it increases our warranty thing because if it blows up and it's not a high grade, graphite and things like that. So you can go to the garage and be like, oh yeah, this one says it's extra fast and I use it as a frog rod. And it's like, well, put it on the board with an extra fast. And I can almost guarantee you that if you throw up one of our Mag XF blanks from MHX that is extra fast, yours might not be extra fast.
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
That's just something to kind of think about, right? And that's a way to, answer the question of like, well, how do I get the right blank if I don't have a blank and I only have a built rod? So that's kind of where that comes in, and the deflection chart is huge for that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
What you want to dive into next? You want to show some specific examples?
Yeah. Well, so what I have on the board, and we'll go back to the board so we're not like running, we're going to run all over tonight. So I have a MB 873 in the back, and then I have a CB 845 in the front. Now, both rod blanks have very similar materials and similar resins and things like that. What happens is, with the different use of materials and the same resin, we can get the rod blank to flex and deflect a little bit differently. So we're going to start hanging some weights, and we're going to show you kind of what we're talking about with a moderate fast and what we're talking about with a fast. So MB873 is a mag taper. And if you're trying to picture like a mag taper in your mind, it looks like a triangle, right? So the butt of the rod has a lot of power, so it's like this, and then the rod tapers like that. It's really, really sharp, okay? So that is going to create a lot of power back here and a lot of power through the midsection, okay? You notice this curve in a crankbait blank, it starts way back here, right? So, I mean, we're probably 30 inches into the rod blank here, and it's, and it's already like coming over, right? This one, obviously it starts to deflect a little bit, but it's out here, and the deflection is a lot flatter here, right? You still get some curve over, right? Now, I'm going to add a little more weight to that 873 to get it down. Did I put a 4 on there, or did I put an 8? I think I put an 8 on there. All right. Yeah, that was. So I wanted to add a little more. I'm adding more weight to this 873 because I want to show, if you notice, the tips here are starting to be a little more parallel, right? So the tips are parallel. Now, this is this blue blank. This is the crankbait blank. It's a much more like gentle curve. It has a lot more like curvature in it. And I know it's not like perfect, but you can see this blank where it comes in it comes in and comes out farther, right? So it comes out farther, and then when it comes over, it comes down, right? So you can see there's a spot like right about in here where it comes over and then goes down. This is showing where the mag taper and the power in the butt section and the midsection is greater in the mag taper, MB873, and then it comes down here and gets fast. This is much more of like your crankbait, just, Hunter was saying, parabolic. It kind of has that like curvature and comes right over. And of course, we're looking at 20 ounces of weight on an MB873 versus 12 ounces of weight on this CB845. And they're relatively close in line class, right? Isn't an 845 like a 10 to 20 and a 873 8 to 17?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're rated slightly different, but you can see that the butt power and the midsection power in this mag taper is going to hold it and hold it out away a little farther, and then boop, and then it comes over because it's fast, right? And that's kind of, we have like color-coded things out here that show this is extra fast, this is fast, moderate fast, and a little slower. So that's just something to kind of, this is already on the graph as you get it, so it kind of goes through and you can follow it a little bit. But this is fast and moderate fast-ish, you know, represented side by side. So, and this is graphite blanks with our ultra resin system. There is no glass in this crankbait. This is not a composite blank. This is a slightly adjusted graphite to make it bend more. And they're doing it in fly rods. They're doing it in all kind of materials. So just to give you an idea here, the mag taper, the crankbait is a like 38 million modulus, and the mag taper falls in about 45 million modulus. So it's still graphite, but we can use different graphites to give different actions. The power, you know, we're using the same graphite from an ultralight to a extra heavy. You know, like for example, in the Elite X's, which are the higher graphites, that's a 57 million modulus. And then we have an Elite Pro, which is the next one down. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But just because it says crankbait does not mean that it has glass in it. So that is that.
Hit you with a little question here.
Okay.
From Ken Blanchard.
All right. We know Ken.
Yeah, we know Ken, absolutely. Can you put the guides on the blank and then use the deflection chart to see if they are in the right locations?
100%.
Absolutely, Ken.
Great for that. Absolutely. You can go through and use all that, you know, we always use like guide tubing, right? We use like the little CRB micro guide bands and stuff. What you can do is you can put all of your guides on this rod blank and run the line. You can even have a reel in the reel seat too and run it all the way through here. Or you can just tape a piece of fishing line, run it through the guides, and then you just attach your weight to the end of your line instead of out here on the tip of the rod. And then you deflect it, and then you can stand and go like, oh, this one needs to move this way, this way, slide this one, move this one. And then you can step back from it and go, yeah, that's good, that's bad. I got a flat spot. I've got too high of an angle there. So yeah, that is that. What else we got? Anything else?
Not too many other questions. Actually, a few rolling in here. Are most mag tapers... Oh, hold on. Let me throw it up here. All right, Randy. Are most mag tapers power based on the butt or the tip?
The mag taper, like I had mentioned before, think of it as like a triangle. You know, you're going to have a lot more butt and midsection power than you will like in the tip. And that is a mag taper. Now, if you want like mag taper light, that's where the spin jig blanks come in. So you see the blanks that are MB, that's mag bass, so mag taper, MB, mag bass. But then you see like an SJ, and that stands for spin jig. I have no idea why. That's
You made this up, right? You
totally
put all this together?
It's what it sounds like, right? So the spin jig and the mag bass, they're made of the same material, they have the same resins, they have all that. But the taper in an SJ is a little lighter. So whereas like an MB843, you know, you might Texas rig with it, throw a spinnerbait with it. An SJ843, you might throw like a Cinco, but without a weight on it. You know, it's not that it's gonna be faster, but it will have like a little bit of a softer tip, which kind of will give the like extra fast-ish type of a feel to it, but it's not extra fast. It's just going to have a little bit lighter power towards the tip and in the tip. The midsection might be a little bit, but it's going to be the same like kind of mag bass profile, but just like on a diet. So
Cool.
yes.
Cool.
Do you want to? Why I have all these CBs? You want me to like cut one?
Let's do it.
We probably should do that,
Yep.
right? Okay. And I know there were some other questions in there if you want to look.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to hit.
So we start
Yeah, so Gary,
getting
and
the power tools
actually
out.
this is kind of up your wheelhouse, but I'll chime in.
Oh no.
Gary, is there mag taper for saltwater? Not per se, but you can certainly use mag taper blanks for saltwater. Just to kind of simplify things there.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere from.
Oh, you know what? Since he asked that question, let me put that.
Didn't you recently build a topwater mag taper
For sure.
Yeah. What was that? MB843, 844?
Yeah, with that Bates reel.
Yeah. So you built like an MB844. I think Chris actually wrote a blog on this. MB844 is one of the best all-around freshwater inshore blanks, period, bar none. Great topwater blank for inshore, so if you're throwing, you know, big topwater 3 treble hook bait, phenomenal. It'll work that bait amazing, and we obviously have that in a 7-foot and also a 7.6 version if you want to go that route. But yeah, Gary, you know, I wouldn't really look, you can certainly look outside of mag taper blanks for a saltwater application, but the mag taper blanks will work for a saltwater application. So
Yeah, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to put the 873 back on the board. And then I have a light inshore, or an inshore blank, an L. So this is an L844, I think. But I wanted to show you what the like action looks like with an L. All right, so it's a little hard to see. This blank is actually like, see how it is? The tip comes underneath this blank here. So it's weird because they're crossing. So what is happening here is they have the same weight. This one in the front, let me move this. This one in the front is inshore, what they call an inshore blank. You notice it's back out a little on the camera, please? Cool. So this is very, like this is much more moderate. It's much flatter, right? And even here, the angle of this tip section just kind of then just drifts off this way. It doesn't come here and then come down, which this blank, the mag taper, you see how the tip ducks underneath here like that? It's at the same height. The tips are almost exactly at the same height, but here's where it's faster, right? So it's up higher out here because it's a mag taper. So you have more power, more power, more power, more power. And then you come to the point here where it breaks over and then it has a sharper angle. It points towards the ground more. So the extra fast is going to point down, whereas the moderate is going to point like this at an angle, right? So this is what an inshore blank usually looks like. It's very moderate. It's very like we're going to lob a popping cork out there and just boom, or we're going to throw, like a fish finder rig, dead bait, live bait, things like that, moderate. Okay, so using your mag taper in the inshore, like Hunter said, if you're throwing lures, it really doesn't matter if you're throwing a saltwater lure or a freshwater lure. This rod blank in a mag taper is going to be, it's going to be lighter in hand. It's going to be more nimble. It's made from a higher modulus. It's not clear coated, so it's going to be a little bit lighter anyway. The wall thicknesses in the light inshore are going to be heavier, or going to be thicker. So what did I say? 40 is 43, 40 something. Yeah, 43 million in the mag taper. Light saltwater is 33 million. So there's your difference in graphite, which is going to give you a little quicker recovery. It's going to be lighter weight, all that stuff in your mag taper. So I always try to go mag taper when I'm throwing lures. And it doesn't matter if I'm throwing a lure at a snook, at a redfish, or at a largemouth or a smallmouth bass. I try to stay in the mag taper section and not in the light saltwater section, and that's why. That's the inshore rod blanks. They just don't have that inshore world is just not for that.
Got a great question here from Buck.
Okay.
How about a mag taper with a soft tip for live bait? Now, Buck, if we're talking about live bait on the inshore side, that L blank, which L is light saltwater, perfect for live bait fishing. L904, that's probably one of the most popular light saltwater inshore rods that we sell in the MHX lineup.
Yeah, big redfish and snook and things like that.
7.6, it's a medium or a heavy power. L903 is also a great blank. And if you don't want the 7.6s, we have the 7-footers available as well. So whichever one.
If you want to, what kind of fishing did he say?
Just live bait.
Oh, okay. Now, Buck, if you want to go like big stuff, or like when we sailfish, things like that kind of live baiting, we use power tips, because the power tips are going to have like, the power tip is like, what's the model number?
PTSW?
Yeah, PTSW. So that blank is like a mag taper in the freshwater, but then it has glass out in the tip and it's real soft. So it's something that, you would do like the kingfish guys use it a lot here in the Southeast, because they want that bait to kind of like work that tip a little, and they got treble hooks in it. But then when the fish gets boat side, they can really put the heat on them. So it's kind of like a mag taper version of saltwater, because the tip is so soft. But if you're talking about like redfish and snook, we usually don't use them.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
We got a lot of great questions in here. You had a stopping point? You want to keep rolling?
No, I'm not.
Okay. This one, you're right. This one's a little bit off topic, but I do think it's important to hit on this one.
Okay.
Maggie's got a question. I was told by a rod builder that the diamond wraps I put on my rods affect the action. Is this true?
Oh, Lord.
All right, I'll take this one. So, I'll say this, Maggie. It does affect it. Does it affect it enough for you to actually notice a difference while you're fishing? My answer to that would be no. I think you would have to put probably, 10 to 15 diamond wraps on a rod. Maybe not that many. That's probably exaggerated. But
you'd have to put them out in the
5.
tip section and all
You'd have
that
to
stuff.
coat the entire blank with epoxy. And anyway, I don't think that one, a butt wrap, cross wrap with epoxy on it, or even some trim bands or some nice decorative work is going to affect the rod enough for you to actually notice a difference while fishing. Now, again, does it affect it? Yeah. Is it very measurable? That's the difficult part. Yeah. But think of it like this.
If you read my blog, I wrote a blog.
The way I like to think of it is, and this is probably a bad reference, but bear with me. Take 2 race cars side by side, right? Both are completely empty, nothing inside of them or anything like that. And one of those cars, take and put in, a stack of 20 bricks. It's going to add weight to it, right? So that car is probably going to be a little bit slower than the one that doesn't have anything in it. Weight affects performance is the bottom line there. So whether it's a fishing rod or racing cars, whatever it might be, the same principle applies. So to answer your question, yes, it is true, but does it affect it enough for you to notice? That's where I have a hard time going that far. So,
All right. You heard it here first.
and you wrote a blog on it, so they can just go read the blog
That's it.
to get your answer on it.
All right, hand me that Dremel while you're looking through the questions
All right,
there.
all right. I'll plug you up.
Yep, plug me in. I got some goggles around here somewhere. There we go.
All right, let's see if we got another one here.
I'm going to cut the tip section off of this. So I put a piece of tape. I measured 2 inches. Put a piece of tape here. I'm just going to cut this off. This is a CB845. It's the same model blank that I have been had on the board here. This is the best, like $49 I have ever spent in rod building right here. Got to have one of these things. Call it a Dremel, call it a rotary tool, call it the Benford 200. So whatever it is, this is the stuff.
I saw you put a little piece of tape on there, Chris.
Yeah.
You want to talk about why we do that?
No.
Okay.
Yes, of course. So I have always been taught and always put a piece of tape where I cut because I believe it helps keep the fraying of the edges down. I think it's more important when you are trying to use like a really fine bladed like hand tool, because I think that's all they had back then, right? I still keep up the tradition of taping a rod blank because that like 4 seconds in, 1/10 of a penny of tape I just used can save a rod blank. Because all it takes is like chewing on the end of one and then you splinter it and then it's like, well, that is all she wrote.
Yep. Okay, let's keep going here. Rob, that's a good question. Why not use the spin jig for light saltwater inshore fishing? Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
You can.
Go ahead.
And some of those are, SJ842, SJ843, those staples in inshore fishing, especially here.
Yeah, like an 1/8 ounce jig head.
Oh, yeah. Now, as we give out suggestions up here tonight, you guys are probably going to think, well, what about that? I thought he said this, and this. There's a lot of rod blanks that can be used for different applications. You can go through a topwater, bait for a redfish on an MB843 or 844. You could take an SJ842 or 843 and go throw, an 1/8 ounce or a 1/4 ounce jig head with a plastic on the tip of it. And
Hunter, we only have like 800 MHX rod blanks. So
they're very versatile, right? And if you guys do have specific questions about, how about a 1/4 ounce jig head with this, fishing for this and this, the more specific, the better. Because even with us answering these questions, if you guys say live bait, I'm going to kind of go to an assumption of what you might be talking about. So if you can be more specific, the better, and we'll try to answer those questions the best that we can. Corey Johnson, this is a good one. Forward-facing sonar. When are the FFS rod blanks coming out? Well, Cody, we already have some, to be honest.
they outlawed it.
Yeah, it's illegal, didn't you hear?
Yeah.
No, certainly not illegal unless you're fishing some of the tournament trails. But NSJ 871 has been a favorite. Yet again, I think you wrote a blog on this a few weeks ago. So guys, check that out if you haven't already. NSJ 871, I believe, is a very, very popular model.
It is. We helped design that one.
Yeah. We also just recently released 2 new NSJ models, a 901 and a 902. Those are also fantastic blanks.
I didn't know about that.
7.6 version, so
didn't tell me about that
a little bit longer. Now, we don't currently have any facets or categories specifically for forward-facing sonar. It's coming soon. Stand by. But throwing out a couple there. NSJ 871, NSJ, what did I say a few seconds ago? 901, 902. Those 3, I would start with those. Focus mainly on your Elite X blanks, most sensitivity, all that good stuff. certainly some Elite Pro and regular series MHX blanks, but I'd stick with the Elite X. So.
Yep. All right, so what did everybody think that blank's going to do when I cut 2 inches off?
So you cut 2 inches off.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. So I wonder, is it going to affect action, power? I don't know. Do we get any comments here? What do you guys think at home? What do you think's going to happen to that rod blank?
2 inches off.
2 inches off. Is it going to get faster, slower, more power, less power? I'm curious what.
So the exact same rod blank. Same blank, same everything. 2 inches.
Yeah, so Tim, the purpose is we're going to do a little demonstration here in a second to see what happens to a rod blank when you cut 2 inches off the tip. How does that affect that blank, performance-wise, action-wise, power-wise?
Go to that shot that you're on right now, Uncle Phil, in the preview. Yep. Same exact rod blank. Literally CB 845, and you just watched me cut 2 inches off of it.
All right.
It looks like it's a different rod blank.
Couple mixed answers, but I do see some correct ones.
Yeah. So there you go. That's it right there. The cut one is this one. The one that got a little slower and got a little more power. You see here, this, let's see if I have I don't have like a piece of, like a rod blank or like a
short piece?
Yeah, or hand me let me use this real quick. One of these things here. What I was talking about earlier. All right, so if you look, so there's the angle of that blank, right? You got to get in here tight. Give me that like 5x, right? Yep. Whoa, whoa. We have like Blair Witch Project going on. So there is the extension down, because I don't know if you can quite see that. I used the clear tubing tonight, which I'll show you how to do that, how to get that little cheat. But there is that action, and then now there is the previous action, right? So that is much more downward to the floor than that one is. That one's flatter. So the rod has slowed down a touch, and you can see same length, and there's your power difference right there. So that's a pretty good, I mean, that is, I would consider that at least a half a power. So it went from a 845 to a 846 and a half.
Yeah.
If that's such a thing. So and you can see it all the way back into here. Just cutting 2 inches off. Right?
So a little bit slower and a little bit more power.
Yeah.
Which that's, you can see it in there. A little tougher to see the power change, but
yeah,
you can absolutely see.
I mean, you can, no, tougher for you to see.
Yeah, because I'm over here.
You were at home.
Yeah.
There's this one here. This top one is the one that's cut. Right there. So you can see it well above. But you can see back here and like in the butt and everything, it's pretty close. You know, that's almost 4 feet into the rod blank. That's 3 feet into the rod blank right there, because I have it pushed forward a little. There's 3 foot, there's 4 foot. So I got it pushed a little forward in the back. So 3 feet out, we're the same. And then it starts to get into your mid section power, and then out here where the action and speed of the tip take over, and we've gone up. Now, with that rod blank, it's probably not a huge deal in terms of like going from one tip size to the next, because I'm sure a CB 845 doesn't have like some giant tip in it. Because remember, like when you get bigger than a 6.5 or a 7 tip size, you lose ring sizes, right? So like from a 4 up to about a 6.5 or 7, you can still get like size 5, 5.5 tips, even a 6 tip. But once you get over a size 7 tube, you know, you're looking at 8 rings and above. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, but I really want to put size 5 runners on this. And now I got to use an 8 ring?
Right.
No, we're not doing it. That's ridiculous. Well, since I got you, I'll just go ahead and cut 2 inches off the butt of one of these. Why not we do that?
Yeah.
I'm in a power tool mood.
There was, let me
careful.
scroll back. There was a question, very simple, straightforward question on that. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, give me the easy ones, Hunter. Like, come on, man.
Easy. What?
Yeah. Another CBA 45. See it right here. You all right, Justin? Is your high cholesterol hurting you today?
Ah,
Another
yeah.
CBA 45.
All right. Bill Peterson, what determines whether you cut the tip or the butt?
It's whether you're doing it right or wrong.
Rule of thumb, Bill, is cut from the butt end. I mean,
If you don't want to change anything except the length, cut from the butt section. If you want to alter the speed, so the action or the power, you can cut from the tip. And now I know you have heard us say, like, cut once after measuring twice. Well, if you're going to cut from the tip of that rod blank, you better take like 1/4 of an inch off at a time, like just tiny, tiny little bits. Because if I took almost 2 inches off the CB 845 and it changed the power over or about a full power, and it changed the speed enough for even not like even the best perfect camera angle to tell, like if you can tell that much, you better be careful how much you take off. And every rod blank is going to be a little different. Now that's off a crankbait blank. If I was to do that to a mag taper, I can't tell you that if you cut 1.5 inches off of a 873, that, oh, it's just going to make it an 844 or whatever, 864. It's just not, it's not that perfect. I can't tell you that. So you're going to have to adjust it a little, cut a little, put it on the board, cut a little, put it on the board. Do not just be like 2 inches, whoop, right off, and like, that's going to be a problem.
and obviously, you take an ultralight, a 7 or a 5.5 foot ultralight blank, and you cut 1 inch off the tip, you've pretty much decimated that rod blank. Like, of course you can still build it and use it to be fine, but it ain't gonna be an ultralight anymore. You take a 8 foot extra heavy saltwater blank and cut 1 inch off the tip, you're not gonna notice as drastic of results. So case by case, but again, I'd say on the freshwater side, there's not many applications to where you should be cutting off the tip of a rod blank that is, these rod blanks, especially ones from MHX, these are application specific. They are dialed in to be, in most cases, the exact length they are, keep them that way, fish the lure weight or the line weight they're recommended for, and be done with it. Now, saltwater side, little different story. A lot of saltwater guys, can get away from chopping, 4 or 6 inches off the tip, and they're going to change that rod blank, but in some cases they want to do that. But my point there is saltwater blanks, extra heavies and things like that, much different ball game than something on the freshwater side with an ultralight or a medium. So
exactly what he said.
Exactly.
Perfect. All right, 2 inches off the butt. Safety first.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I usually wear a mask when I do that. It's just, we have excellent ventilation. I was holding my breath. All right, 2 inches off the butt. It's like, I can feel that stuff like hit you in the face. Like you got to wear glasses. All right.
So we got one that's 2 inches
length
from the tip.
Yep.
One that's 2 inches off the butt.
Oh, well, no, I went, the one that's hanging is the original.
Oh, it's the original. I'm sorry. Gotcha.
Yep. So you got to have a control.
Yes, you're right. Can't be jumping all around.
9th grade science class, right?
Duh.
Yeah. Got to trust science.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Science first.
That's it. Whoop. Mm-hmm. All right, tiny little bit. Oh, hang on. I didn't, hang on. Stand by. I put them at the same length. All right. So for those that, yeah, show that screen. Show the preview screen. All right. So here's the tool, right? Can you see that over my head?
Yep.
There is markers back here behind it. So the butt of the rod doesn't always go right here. It's actually set up 10 inches from where the butt like stops. And then what that does is that gives you an adjustment back here to say like, oh, I have a 10-inch handle or an 8-inch handle or whatever, right? Plus it also gives you the ability to take a 7-foot rod blank and a 6-foot 10-inch rod blank now, and you can stagger them, and then you can end up with the same length out front so you can properly measure action and power. So if you notice, 2 inches different, right? You see this blue blank is 2 inches behind the purple blank. Both are CB 845s, as you saw. So there you go. One's at a 2, one's at a 4. Yeah. We got to be as transparent as we can around here. All right, and out here, what does it do? 2 inches off the butt. 12 inches, or 12 ounces. They're identical.
Very, very close.
They are identical. It's weird because that camera angle makes it look like, so Justin is like from this angle at an angle like that. So it looks like that they're different, but they are almost
identical.
They're about as perfect as you can get. So
yeah, actually, switch cameras real quick. Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, they are side by side. Almost exactly the same.
Yeah. Now hiring at Mudhole a second extra cameraman so that Uncle Phil doesn't have to run behind the.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
Let me put this one up real quick here. Randy. Oh, sorry, wrong one there. I don't know why
got a rookie running the iPad.
Bugging out. There we go.
Is it bugging out or is it
user error? Randy, taking some off the tip increases speed. That's incorrect, Randy. It actually slows the speed, does not increase it. So, got to be careful there.
Got to be careful. All right. 2 inches off the tip, 2 inches off the butt. 2 inches off the butt really doesn't do anything. 2 inches off the tip slows it and increases the power just a little bit. So, since I'm still in a blank cutting mood, what is too much? Or how far can you cut a blank, and depending on like, what does it do to it if you use something like the Suka 2, right?
That's a very popular question right now.
Yeah,
what's the max amount to cut off of a rod blank?
So I am actually going to, let me see, I actually don't think I have a 840. I don't want to cut these too far into the, let me see if I have one that doesn't have. I think they all have color on them. That's an 847. I don't want to cut because these are all 845s.
We've had several questions. I missed a few of them earlier about.
There's not any CB 845s back there, is there, Phil?
Can the chart be used for anything that's over 10 foot? I would say max is probably a little, max is about 10 to 10 and a half. Anywhere above that, you're just, unless you want to kind of makeshift your own chart to keep going out past 10 foot, unfortunately, a 12 or a 13 footer, you're just not going to be able to read that on the chart. So 10, 10 and a half is going to be your max for the 10-foot chart. And obviously the 8-foot's going to be 8 foot or 8 and a half.
You know what? I can actually show it with this because I'm going to we'll see what this does to it. So I'm actually going to take all right, so I'm going to take about 7 inches off of this rod blank. Now, for some of y'all that have been watching us for the last 6 years, you've heard a funny story that Hunter did that was actually created the FP 885, just right out of thin air. So Hunter and I used to fish a lot of tournaments together. I'll keep this short, don't worry. Hunter and I used to fish a lot of tournaments together. And back then, this was like before we had a much like larger flip and stick line that we have now. The FPs were in like their infancy. We were testing the 936s and the 937s. They were like new. Like we didn't even know if we were going to call them an FP or what we were going to call them. So we were talking about like, okay, these two are good. They're both, what, 7.9, 6 power and a 7 power. And we were like, gosh, you know what would be great is I like to flip a jig around buggy whips and things, but I don't want a 7.9. I don't want a 7-footer or a 7.3. I want something like odd and in between. So Hunter was going to bring me a swim bait blank, the SWB 956. So that blank is like 711, 710, 711, 956, 711.
Yeah.
So Hunter was bringing me an SWB 956, and it's a great A-rig rod, it's a great swim bait blank, all that stuff. The FPs, Flip and Pitch and Series, were like a little bit of a derivative off of the swim bait blanks. Hunter brings me an SWB, we were meeting that day at the ramp, and he's got it in the truck, and he was like getting stuff out of the front seat, and the wind was howling that day on the St. Johns River. So Hunter's getting stuff out, and the rod blank goes like, falls out of the front seat, and in between the door jamb of the passenger on his, the passenger door on his Chevy truck. So the wind comes, blows it, blows the door shut, and crunches the blank on my new SWB 956 that I was going to take home and build. So I was like, well, that sucks. Maybe I'll see if I can sacrifice it. So I cut off all of the like crunch out of the back of that rod blank, and I got it down to like 7.5 or something, like kind of an oddball size. And we went to Okeechobee like the next week, and I was flipping a jig at Okeechobee with that rod blank, and Hunter's like, man, that is really nice. And then we put it on the board, and we were like, I think that might do it. And we took it to Uncle Bob, and we were like, please make this one. So the FP 885 was born, and that's why it lost a power because we took too much out of the butt. But that blank was it had so much length to it, it still maintained a lot of like mid and butt power. But it was a little moderate fast because sometimes you get those fish around those the buggy whips and stuff, and you don't want it to be extra fast. So you want to like flip a jig in there and you thump it, and you can feel him before he feels you, because it's got like a little bit of sponge to it. So you pick it up and it's heavy, and then you hit him, and then you can boat flip him. Not that we would recommend that. But so anyway, that is the it's always Chris Adams story time around here. So that's how the FP 885s were born. So yeah, you can take too much off, but sometimes it works. What does everybody say? Shut up and cut a blank?
No, we're still going back and forth on action and things like that.
There's no way there's people arguing.
Yeah. Well, Randy, I mean, you're going to have to just rewatch the show, what we showed on the board a few minutes ago. There's a distinct change in action. It's very visible. So I was very skeptical. I always thought that once you cut off the tip, it made it faster. But
it doesn't.
The board does not lie. So
what are we doing here? What's going on with the Benford?
Turn it off. Hooked up there. Is that? Oh. Uh-oh.
All right.
Might have to spend another $40.
Yeah, how did that happen?
You just talked too soon.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, that was a long time ago. Maybe it's... Well, this is really going to be... Whoa. I didn't drop it. It's kind of like it's not catching. I'm going to start a fire. This is where the cussing starts. Maybe I'll drop it and it'll work.
But
it's like it's not. It's like, you know what? It's like brushless. Like I can press on it.
Weird. Well.
All right. Well.
Now what?
I'll have to simulate. But okay. So imagine we're going to cut this rod blank off, right? All right, so, I know, right? And we don't have a, do we have that little jeweler's saw? We do, but am I going to be here all night with this thing?
Oof. Anything else?
All right, Hunter, do a dancing entertainment.
Yeah, I don't know. How about a giveaway? Can we do a giveaway?
Yeah, golly, do a giveaway.
Let's run a giveaway.
I'll get this thing cut by the time you get a giveaway done.
All right. First giveaway of the night, a little overdue here. CRB Spine Finder.
Sorry, this is.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, it's like go in the bathroom.
All right. First giveaway of the night, CRB Spine Finder. While while Chris hacks away this rod blank. All right. First winner of the night.
Stop looking at me.
Yeah. Don K. Stand by.
It's got it zoomed in.
Stand by for that.
Don K.
We're gonna get through this, I promise.
Yeah.
Don
Uncle Phil,
K.
will you go to Lowe's and get a... Stop it.
Turn into a circle.
God, I broke it.
here.
Do we not? We don't have a hack.
Stand by. I'm assuming we got a couple Dons in here. We gotta confirm that last name. Kraus. Don Kraus. All right, Don, congrats on CRB Spine Finder. Make sure you send an email to live@mudhole.com, L-I-V-E,
I know.
at mudhole.com to claim that prize. CRB Spine Finder.
I know.
Kraus.
Careful, my
Congrats.
mic is hot.
Congrats. All right.
All right, Hunter, keep dancing.
Yep. We're still rolling here. Oh, you guys, whatever you're doing over there.
It's live.
Let's see what other questions we have.
I need to spin it a little bit. Roll it a little.
Mario, does the finish ever change action or power of the rod? So, Mario, this kind of hits on the question that was asked earlier about butt wraps and, performance of blanks and rods and things like that. In a nutshell, the more things, thread, finish, epoxy that you add to that rod blank, the more performance you're taking away from that rod. So super simplistic bare bones rod, you're going to get the absolute most performance out of it. The more things you add to it, the more you're going to slow down the recovery of that rod blank. But again, it's going to take a lot of extra weight to hinder the performance of that rod blank. Welcome back.
Yeah.
So short answer is yes, it's going to affect it, but it's not really going to affect it enough unless you put a lot of stuff on there. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. It's time for a new battery from Harbor Freight. This is one comment.
No, that's a real Dremel and it's a plug-in. I think it's pretty good. Wait till this one. Who's going to get this warranty problem? All right.
Back at it.
Yeah. Let's see. I got to get these off. And keep dancing, Hunter.
Oh, okay.
Keep dancing.
Okay. Hold on. I got to scroll back. Lots of good comments tonight.
Everybody wondered. Yes, it's live.
Oh, Barry, actually, good comment here. Just FYI, Chris, the newer brushless, cordless Dremels are awesome. Been using one for everything over a year now. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Oh, good one. Clara, if you turn a one-piece into a two-piece for travel, how much is it going to change? That's a really good question.
On purpose or on accident?
Yeah, on purpose or accident. We've all had some accidents, unfortunately. It's tough to quantify how much change is going to happen there. You can take a 7-foot one-piece blank, chop that thing right down the middle, add a couple ferrules to it, metal ferrules or any ferrule of your liking, and you're going to notice some change, especially if you use, the male and the female, metal ferrules. It's going to kind of add a dead spot in the middle of that rod blank. Now, is that rod blank still fishable? Absolutely. Is it going to have the same feel and action to it as, it did before in a one piece? Unfortunately, no. And that's, the measurable change there, if there is one, is going to vary blank by blank. Again, you take an ultralight and do that, you're probably going to notice some significant changes. You take an 8-foot extra heavy, you're going to notice less changes. So it's going to vary by blank, but at the end of the day, it's going to change, unfortunately for the worse. So,
all right. So it actually didn't change a whole lot, surprisingly, for taking 7 inches off of it. This is going to help you guys visualize the action a little bit. I mean, that's pretty close in terms of action. To me, it looks like that the blank that I cut, right about like here, it sped up. You see, it looks like it falls over a little more here. This looks like it kind of glides out a little bit, even though this is still fast. So it looks like we lost a little bit here. But if you come up here, you know, this all still looks the same. Remember, the blank, I cut 7 inches off of it. Now, the reason that, if we come back here to the tool, these blanks, I have them matched up for the length of their butt. The reason I did that is because we are now, if you cut 7 inches off of a MB873, you have now shifted your handle and everything down this rod blank. So that's why you see here, we're that far apart, right? Because I've shifted everything back. That's why you're also going to see a little bit of a change, okay? Now, with the 2 inches off the blank, I staggered them 2 inches, even though, yes, you're going to move the handle back a little bit. But I wanted you to see out here at the tip, I wanted you to see them together, okay? So this is fairly close. It did change it a little bit. This rod looked like it got a little faster, and you lost a little bit of power. So let me show you here power-wise. Let me get these to stop moving. So your power is going to be how much the blank is deflected, so how far down the chart it goes. And you get this ridiculous yellow rod blank here. So if you look at...
you may pin them against the... You got it?
Yeah. So there is the bottom of this one here. Of course, we're having an earthquake in Oviedo right now. So you can see we lost a little bit of power. We didn't lose nearly the amount of power that we did, or the power didn't change nearly as much as when we cut it out of the tip. So, and this is 7 inches off of an MB843. That's a lot to cut off the butt of that rod. And it really didn't change it that much. So to say, how much is too much? I mean, that's not bad, right?
Yeah. John, it's got that exact question. 6 inches off, excuse me, 6 inches off of a 7-foot rod for a kid's rod. Perfectly fine, obviously, John. You know, and again, application matters, use case matters. If this is a tournament situation with $100,000 on the line, you know, no, we probably don't want to, resort to having to cut 6 inches off of a blank. Let's just use a blank that's 7 foot. But if we're doing for a kid's rod or something that really isn't like performance or driven like that, then yeah, why not? If you know, you need to hack 6 inches off of a 7-foot blank, go for it. I wouldn't do it off the tip, do it off the butt.
And then what we're going to do is now I'm going to put it back in the Suka. Keep talking, Hunter.
Oh, yep, sorry.
All right, so...
Forgot my job up here.
No. So what I'm going to do now is, you know, it changed it, action power, just a little bit, but not too much. I think we would see more of a change in maybe a blank that was a little softer. And you also believed, when we were first getting these, we kind of did a, you know, a bet like, oh, do you think it'll change it? What happens if, you know, we cut it back that far and all that stuff? And we were both kind of like surprised.
I was proven wrong. And then
It wasn't even wrong, but it was just, we were both a little surprised.
Yeah, I would have thought, you know, put
That's
a lot
just
of
me being nice.
put a lot of money. Yeah, you are being very nice.
It's live.
I would have really thought that, you know, when we introduce these Sukas and, you know, cutting back rod blanks, you know, significantly cutting back rod blanks, that the end result just would alter the blank enough that it wouldn't be, you know, what I was looking for. And I was wrong. It's you can hack 6, you know, 8 inches off the back of most of the rod blanks. Not all, because, you know, obviously, again, we could use the ultralight and heavy saltwater rod, you know, comparison. But you take an NBA 43 and hack 6 to 8 inches off, put a Suka on the back of it, you're not really changing that blank too much. And that was the surprising thing for me. So you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Boy, this is just like... Tonight on Mudhole Live, Overcoming Adversity while live.
Chris, do you happen to know how far that blank goes into the Suka handle itself?
Yeah, I can tell you in just a second. Because I cut 7 inches off, but I wanted this rod to end up being a smidge longer than it would have been. So I cut about 7 inches off, and I think it goes into that. This blank, the 873, goes into the Suka about 6 inches or so, because I cut about 7 off, and it extended it maybe 1 or 2 inches. I'll give you an exact here in a second. Because at some point you run, you know, with that question, at some point you run out of taper down here, right? So the rod blank comes in, and then you run out of taper where it stops. So, all right, let's put this in here.
Line up the tips. Is that a better comparison? Are they the same length or?
No, they're a smidge different. How is that? Is that close?
That's super close, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yep, that's close. All right, so 873 regular and 873 with 7 inches cut off in a Suka.
A little difference.
Just a smidge. Yep.
A little more on that blank, and I mean that's case in point, right? Like we tried this with other rod blanks, and they came out very, very close. So little difference on this one.
Let me slide this one back, see if they're
not lined up perfectly.
Close. It looked like you got a hair. It's almost like it's showing that that's a better like representation of like it's a hair faster. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It made it just a hair faster.
And did the Suka
Suka
lost a little bit of power?
Smidge.
I can't tell if
yes. Barely, but you see how flat it is. Look on the screen there.
Yeah.
See how flat it is here, and then just this little tiny gap right there. It just got a hair faster. So I mean that's, I don't know. If you could feel that fishing, I'd be pretty surprised. I'd be pretty surprised. So yeah. All right. So that's what just about your Suka will do.
Yeah. David's got a really good question here. If a factory-built 2-piece blank or even a multi-piece travel rod is the same casting specs as a 1-piece, do they behave the same? Now, a lot of people watching this show and in the chats, you know, not big fans of factory-built rods.
Oh, no, this went into the Suka 8 inches. Yeah.
Anyway, whether it's a factory-built rod or a custom rod.
That was a question.
Yeah. With, you know, multi-piece blanks these days, with the technology, with great materials and resins and, you know, manufacturing, you're going to notice very, very little difference between a 1-piece and a multi-piece blank. The ferrules and the technology around building rod blanks has drastically improved in the past couple decades from where it was even back in the early 2000s, the 90s, etc. You know, back in the 90s or 80s, before my time even, multi-piece blanks had a bad...
Are you saying I'm old?
No, I'm saying I'm very young. Multi-piece blanks had a bad rep for not fishing, not feeling the same
Had a lot of flat spots.
as a one-piece blank. But
Yeah.
that's a thing of the old now. All of the newer, whether it's a factory rod or a custom-built rod, multi-piece, two-piece, three-piece, four-piece, even six-piecers compared to a one-piece are much better than they used to be. So, I think you picked up a two-piece or a three-piece and fished it against a one-piece. I don't think you noticed the difference. So,
Yeah.
How about another giveaway before we get into the next?
Yeah,
whatever
we did
we're
all
doing?
that with the CRB deflection toolkit. We'll give that away.
Let's do it.
And with the kit, you're going to get the Dremel tools.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Here, I'll leave that over here.
The Benford 20.
All right, second giveaway of the night, CRB deflection tool kit. So that's going to get you the, we'll give you the option of the 8 or the 10-foot graph that Chris has been using all night, plus the deflection tool itself. Tom M. Stand by for that last
Please.
name.
I hope so.
We'll see what
I hope so.
that last name is. 1 second.
That's going to be, I'll give away like a $50 gift card if it turns out to be who we think it is.
Stand by. Tom Moore. Tom Moore.
You guys are getting ready to be the big winners.
All right, Tom, if you're still watching or even if you catch this on a replay, make sure you email live@mudhole.com, live@mudhole.com, so Chris can take care of you and get that prize sent out to you.
I don't know if anybody was asking about these things, but I was going to show you really quickly. Now, this is just a little tip trick. So this is something that we actually, for all you like 3D printer junkies at home, we actually printed a little eye with a little post on it that's got little ribs. This is guide tubing. This is GT0. This is the tiny, tiny, tiny one, right? We then took this little spiked like loop and we put it down in the guide tubing. We also will take guide tubing and just take like a wire fly top, and we'll stick it in there like this. And on this, if you want to use that and you don't want to 3D print something. Now I will recommend, because these fly tops are like kind of smooth, is to take like the tiniest little zip tie you've got and just wrench the heck out of it over the top. It's still kind of tough to get out of there, but that's what we have. And we just take this and just slide it right over the tip of the rod blank. This is ours, so don't say it was your idea. And also, if you hurt yourself while using it, you're not allowed to come back at us. So this is just one of those fun little tip things. Use at your own risk. And, maybe for those that can't use an alcohol burner, maybe don't use these. So anyway, I'm just having a little fun with y'all. But anyway, those are cool, and you don't have to constantly like glue and unglue tips and stuff, if whatnot. So yeah.
There was a question. It was probably starred, but I just thought of it.
Yeah, there's like 40 stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of great questions.
Holy moly.
The weights that Chris was using on the board were 12 ounces each per rod blank.
Mostly.
So lead, weights.
We have all different kinds. Yeah, we we were using 12s and 8s mostly, but we have everything from a 4 to a 16 in there. And it's, we just use like a little, the CRB paperclip is right there. That's a patent pending CRB weight hanger, we call it. So we use that as well. So yeah, in our tackle box. If you've been to a rod building class, Todd and the gang use that a lot.
And unfortunately, we do not sell these weights. Go to your local tackle shop.
I don't know. We have quite the tackle shop downstairs now.
Buy some lead
If you
weights.
guys haven't been to Mudhole in like maybe the last 2 weeks, this place smells like a garlic factory. There is so much bass tackle downstairs. There's everything from like Spro frogs to gambler lures, Spro, everything.
Yeah.
NLBN hooks. We don't have sinkers.
Yet.
Yet. We've got Power Pro Daiwa J braid. Sixth Sense, shout out Casey out there in Texas. I know you're not watching, but Sixth Sense, a lot of tackle there. What else do we have down there? We got a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
So it's
coming together.
It's really, really good. We just got to figure out how to neutralize the garlic smell. Anyway, for those that like bass tournament fish and have left a pack of lures in their truck when they launch the boat, come back at the end of a hot day, you know exactly what we're talking about. What else do we have? We kind of have maybe just a little Q&A segment. Do you want to talk about colors?
I think, let's
talk about colors a little bit.
Colors quick, and then we got lots of questions.
Wait a second. Colors quick?
Yeah, colors quick.
Get out of here. All right, let's do colors really quickly. I promise.
All 102 color configurations.
Stop.
Put together.
What?
Well,
no, we're good. Just
you.
EVA. That's a hard one.
Golly, what has happened to this show?
Gosh. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if this is our last show ever.
Yeah. If anyone ever thought it was not live, this will prove you wrong.
All right. So we have, and I think I have a blog on this, but if not, we'll also work on that. So if you go back to 2021, in our catalog, one is a Halloween cover and one is, I think, is a spring cover, but it's old. We'll put it up. I promise. We will create a blog for this. We have color inspiration charts. So what we did is we took the 10 color series rod blanks and I wrapped and finished, put 4 colors on each rod blank. And I put some that are like super ugly. And then I picked some that I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I did a mixture of nylons and color fasts and metallic. So, you get the, this is the light blue. And we've got a color fast neon yellow. Oh, wait, no. What blue is this? Oh, no, this is teal. I'm sorry. So teal, we have kiwi, mint, lilac. I don't like the way I said that. And shamrock. So what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll put all this stuff up. If you need, did this thing go to sleep? You're going to have to do that. We'll go through and we'll put all this stuff up. This is a really cool way to get like ideas, suggestions. I was just downstairs with Mark. If anybody's ever dealt with Mark, great guy, even though he's a Mets fan. And we were talking.
You can't help it.
No. We were talking about metallic red, which we have here, and he was like, "What do you think I ought to use for metallic red?" And surprisingly enough, I was like, "You really need to use nylon red," and it does look that good. It looks better in person. This is actually 319 redfish. I also recommend using 325. I don't remember what the color's called.
Fire red, I think.
Fire red, yeah. This is 319. This is a metallic 9840 silverback. I went like a little wild. It's a cool look. I don't really like it, but it's the Versa blend. That's why it kind of looks like it has like flecks in it. But surprisingly, I actually did like this color, which is the Pro FX metallic. And it's the jade color, 9535. I didn't think I would like that, but I kind of like that. So I just wanted to put this out there. This is something that we're going to go through and make sure we have updated for everybody. It's going to give, there's 14 metallic, MHX metallic blanks. There's 10 Mudhole color series blanks. And we've got 4 different colors on every single one of these blanks that are wrapped, burnished, and finished. And, they look great. Some of them look bad. You might think they look great. But we do have that option. We also have an option that you can call in and ask, like, what wind grip matches this one the best. We have that as well. Customer service downstairs has it. And I'm going to go ahead and pick these up and try not to break every single one of them. Or anything else. So, there you go. There's 24 blanks there, and I'm doing my best.
All right.
What else?
So,
what else do we need to do? We need to answer questions, maybe?
a bunch of questions, yeah.
What are we at? Yeah, we're almost at an hour and a half. Let's do some questions. Bill Leary says, how does Hunter remember all that stuff? We have a huge teleprompter. Right? No, I'm kidding. We don't. We do have a little bit of an outline, but nothing good. Yes, this is a good idea. Should bring back the chart that matches threads with team sport colors for sport theme rods. I agree with you. We had that years and years ago, and I think with the updated blank colors, we did that with thread only. So I think what we probably should do is we should probably like couple that with, okay, if you want the blank to be this color and then whatever. But we do need to go through and do
some college teams, some NFL.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Well, that'll be our like summer project before the NFL and college get back going. So don't expect, stuff from like the Ohio State University or whatever. It's going to be SEC only. I'm kidding. Let's see. All right, Hunter, do you want to should we bump the Q&A segment up, Uncle Phil? Like, when we usually do like rapid fire, you want to just go through, or you want to just go through them? We'll just go through them. Fat Boy Angler. What is the best way to identify blanks with no markings? Hunter, man.
Identify them? Well, got to recommend the deflection chart and tool. I mean, those two items together, you got to have kind of both together. That's going to be the only way for you at home to be able to, give any kind of relation as far as matching your blank to something we have here.
Yes.
By way of the grids and the markings, at the tip, and maybe every, 12 inches or so, giving us, where that blank lands as far as deflection goes, and obviously giving us the weight that you deflected that blank at.
Yeah.
That's the only way that I can come up with.
I would also say, and we have talked about this in the past, when you're trying to figure out like, what handle do I like? What reel seat do I like? What handle lengths do I like? We're all anglers for the most part. Like, there are some people that are like, no, I just like to build rods and I'm not much of an angler. But that's a far outlier. Most of us are anglers first, rod builders second, right? Because you realize that you could do it better or you like something different or whatever. You probably have a 7-foot medium heavy bass rod at home, right? That's like the first one everybody buys or builds or whatever. Now, no, you're not going to be able to use that to then be like, wow, I have this blank that's a 0.90 inch butt with and it's going to be like, I want to use it for marlin fishing. But if you do come across a rod blank that's unmarked, that is going to be in the bass world, you've got to have something at home that's close. From there, as long as you have your constant and go like, okay, this is a medium heavy, fast, it's a 10 to 17. You start hanging weights on it. And you don't necessarily even have to be like, get all these different size lead weights. If you got a scale and you got like a water jug, you can get to weight. Just weigh the water jug and put it on there and go like, oh, okay, that's 16 ounces. Now, obviously, a gallon of water weighs like, 8 pounds or something? We're not going to use that. But get a way to get a constant measurement on the rod blank that you have, that the power and action and line rating, and then go from there. Will you be perfect every time? Probably not. But I can also tell you that we could walk around here and pull any one of the like 420 models of the MHX rod blanks or Cashin or whoever and be like, well, that 8 to 12 or 8 to 17 or 8 to 14 is a little different than that 8 to 17. You can't walk through and take all the 8 to 17s that we have and hang 12 ounces of weight on all of them and go like, wow.
Those are exactly the same.
Those are all exactly the same. So,
no chance.
So there's going to be a little bit of variation. And then plus, an 8 to 17 and a crankbait and an 8 to 17 and a mag bass, they're going to look a little different, just like I showed you tonight. That depends on where the power in that rod blank is and what the action is. So if you've got something at home, I know that was a super long-winded answer that I am known for that not everybody likes. But as long as you got a rod blank at home, mainly the people that I work with don't like
I'm going to make it even longer and then I'll be fast with this.
Go ahead.
At the very, very, very least, if you don't want to splurge on the chart and the tool, or if you don't have the space for it, a couple of specs from that rod blank, well, at least that you could take and pass along to our customer service team to get on the right track. So length, butt OD, tip size, and maybe even a measurement in like the middle section, you know, halfway down the rod blank, give us another OD, or even multiple ODs up and down the rod, right? Give us some specs that relate to that rod blank that are relevant. You know, action and power, you're not going to be able to accurately find those.
Unless you have the chart.
Unless you have the chart.
But
so
you're
like,
talking
you know,
about not having a chart.
let's stick to specs. So again, you know, you can obviously measure your length fairly easily. You can do OD up and down the rod blank in several locations. Get a tip gauge if you don't have a tip gauge. Measure what that is. That will at least give our customer service guys some specs to look up in the catalog or the website and get you on the right track for that rod blank.
Yes. Let's see. Dale, did you answer this thing about two-piece rod blank or a one-piece? What do you suggest or prefer?
Similar, but not exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of echo what Hunter said. Anymore, you know, there's a reason why that our all-in-one kits are two-piecers now. The ferrule and the mandrel technology is so good that it would be very difficult for you to like have this blanket in a one-piece and that blanket a two-piece and fish and blindfolded and be like, oh my God, this is the two-piece. I can tell and I hate it. You're not going to be able to tell nearly like you would have, as Hunter said, what, 15, 20 years ago. So, I mean, if you can get away with a one-piece, I say get away with a one-piece. If you either need a two-piece or you're like on the fence about it, don't be afraid of it. The two-piecers, we have them in the Mudhole color series. We have them in MHX. We've got three-piece travel blanks that I've been personally halfway around the world with them and caught bonefish and permit and hard pulling fish on our very lightweight three-piece rod blanks. Mm-hmm. The Elite Pro series has light power two-piecers. They're beautiful. They're very, very cool. So don't be afraid of it. That is going to transition into this question. Scott, looking for a two-piece 6.6 blank for trout fishing. Scott, go into the Elite Pro Series two-piecers. That lineup is it's like, I don't want to say a work in progress, but we purposely started with the lights and ultralights and that into the spectrum. We don't have like, you know, an extra heavy two-piece Elite Pro like, you know, we have in an MHX three-piece. We got a really heavy power. We really, really worked very hard, and Todd especially, who is now, you know, Todd's a remote worker for us. So Todd did a great job with coming up and like refining the lights and ultralights and the soft powers, the light powers in the Elite Pros for two pieces. A lot of the walleye guys, a lot of the trout guys wanted them. So Scott, that's where I would go first. Go to the Elite Pro, into the two-piecers. There's a number of them there. That's going to be your trout and all your like light stuff. Let's see. Bill, this is a kind of a question that we all get. And this is, I'm not, when I answer this, I'm not like picking at you or I'm not saying, but I just want everybody to understand. The question is, I would like to know the advantages of using carbon fiber versus graphite. I mainly fish freshwater troll using live bait. I'm assuming that you actually meant to say carbon fiber and graphite, as in those are two different things. They're not two different things. So carbon fiber is graphite, graphite is carbon fiber. People use carbon fiber to sound cooler, I think is really why they do it. But all the carbon fiber is graphite, all the graphite's carbon fiber. So don't let anybody tell you like, hey, this rod blank, it's $50 more because it's carbon fiber, and this one's $50 cheaper just because it's graphite. So it's the same stuff. When you are freshwater trolling and using live bait, I like something that is more like either on the moderate fast side or something that jumps the fast and goes to extra fast, because it will have a softer tip in it. I don't like to go that route though, because if you're trolling, you usually don't have that rod in your hand, and an extra fast and a rod holder is just an absolute disaster waiting to happen. So, you know, I also use a light moderate fast in the Elite Pro Series to fish artificials. That's what I throw a bonefish jig on the flats for redfish, bonefish, permit, all that stuff. And you might think like, why are you throwing a moderate fast and working a lure? Well, it's in a lighter power. It's very soft. They're hard pulling fish. It gives a little give when we're fishing braid to fluorocarbon leaders. It allows the guys to fight the fish quickly and efficiently, but it also, I can hand it to somebody that's not an expert, and you get a big bonefish or a permit around the boat. They understand how to swim under the boat and ruin your day. Extra fasts with fish going under the boat are bad news. So if you have something that's moderate fast, but in a lighter power, and in something like an Elite Pro Series, it works great for throwing a lure or live bait fishing. And a lot of times our walleye guys are using the Elite Pros because they have that kind of a specific bend profile that is a little bit different than, like, let's say a mag taper or something that's has a very, very sharp defined like butt, mid to tip, right? The Elite Pro has a little bit gentler transition there, even though it has the same like actions and powers. So yes, hopefully that didn't come across as, let's see. Mai said, we were talking about the golf thing. Understand, Chris, you can use the putter y'all made last year and catch some fish while you're at it. If you don't think that the executive is not going to be in my golf bag.
Oh yeah.
As a secret weapon for when I miss a putt.
So you better not. I'm on your team.
I know, but we're playing a scramble, so we got 3 shots at it. Let's see, Ken. We really appreciate you, man. We know you're in here a lot. He said went over the rod repair seminar to do 2 repairs last week. These are so valuable. Thank you very much. I know you don't have to say that. But I'm glad that we can help out a little bit. Let's see. The Punisher. New to Mudhole, Hunter.
Okay.
What's the best way to learn all the different options you have? Oh, yeah, I think you did. It says something in spinning, and I think you came back and then said casting and spinning freshwater bass specifically, and he's starting out. So
all in one kit. So if you have not purchased anything yet, no, you don't have any equipment, no components, no rod blank, no nothing. You're just green as could be, all in one kit. So we have them in 4 different options: spinning, casting, fly, and ice. Which I don't think that's going to be applicable to your case, but check out one of the spinning or casting all-in-one kits. $200. You get all the equipment, supplies, rod blank, components. You get a book included that you can go buy, and obviously we have a ton of great resources on the YouTube page. You just recently redid our 101 videos from start to finish. So, answer is all in one kit. Done. That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. And for those that we have the all in one kit, we then also have rod kits, and then we also have the what's the
startup kit?
Yeah, the startup kit is all of the tools and supplies from the all-in-one kit.
You're right.
And then we have rod kits, and then we have all-in-one kits. So depending on if you're buying for yourself or you're buying as a gift, you can kind of sort of shade like, okay, well, yes, I do need an all-in-one kit, but man, that like Hunter McCamey 7.3 media, you get a little bit more high performance blank, you get a little bit fancier stuff for the rod. Yes, you're going to spend a little bit more money, but a little more performance, a little more what, and then you're like, but I still need all the stuff. So then you just get the startup kit, and then you can use the different kits to kind of build out your all-in-one kit if you don't want to just do an all-in-one kit, because we have so many people that take a class and then they're like, cool, now I have the tools, and then now I have this rod, but I was able to not spend as much money on it, learn how to do the handles, learn how to build a 2-piece, learn how to do all this stuff, and be like, all right, now I'm really ready. Let's get, an Elite Pro, let's get some fancy guides, let's get a Fuji reel seat, let's, things like that. And then you just hand the rod down to somebody, or you leave it for, a bait rod, or you leave it as a backup, or whatever you do. So there's a number of different ways to do it. But Punisher, just flip through the kits. We have taken more time than probably we should have to put those kits together. They all come with rod recipes. So we also say with a chart, we will say this is how far we set our handle length. This is where we space our guide. This is where we put our hook keeper, right here. And there's measurements and there's everything. So that's what I would do. Phil's asking about painting a blank. If you paint a blank, what clear top coat do you use over it? What tips for applying the top coat? Phil, I don't paint a blank. I know how to paint a blank, but I also don't have the skills to do it. Don Schaefer at Backbone, he does it. Now, keep in mind, anytime you paint a rod blank, you're going to need paint that has a flex agent in it, right? So your paint has to have a flex agent in it. Your clear coat has to have a flex agent in it, because what you don't want to do is paint the rod blank and you set the hook and it bends and then you have like all these cool spider cracks in your paint. But, and we've talked about this before, and I can't stress this enough. If you want to get something super cool custom painted, if you get with Don beforehand and you order a rod blank, in the order form, you can say, pick up for Don. You settle up with Don. He sends you an invoice. You give him your order number. His wife drives to Mudhole, takes your rod blank from us, takes it home, paints it, brings it back to Mudhole, brings it back to the guys downstairs. They put it back in your order and ship it. You pay Don, you pay us, you pay no extra shipping. He comes back and forth, his wife comes back and forth, he does all the paint, charges a reasonable price for artwork, by the way, and then you don't have to mess with it. So do that. Trust me, just do that. He can paint your rod to look like a dolphin, like Mahi. He can make it look like a baseball bat, look like a piece of wood.
Color match, I mean, just
it's ridiculous what he can do. Yeah, and then there's no extra shippings. You don't have to worry about it. She gets it, drops it. It goes in the order here. We don't charge her any extra shipping, handling, nothing. And it's taken care of. All right, Chris, my father-in-law wants a 6-foot 5-weight fly rod. 6-footer. You have no clue where to start. You and me both.
I'm not surprised. 6 foot.
So what this is you're gonna have to send me an email to live@mudhole.com, because it's certainly doable. And what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to pick like a 1-piece ultralight blank, or I mean we can pick a multi-piece blank, but there's not a 6-foot 5-weight blank out there. What we would do is we would take a 5-weight blank and we put it on the deflection chart. And then I'm going to take a 6-foot ultralight spinning and try to get as close as I can. I have built like a 7.5-foot 9-weight, a 7.5-foot 8-weight, things like that, just by going and picking, you know, an SJ 902 and turning it into a fly rod. We would need to use something light, something moderate fast. It's doable, but it's going to take a little legwork, and I'm not afraid of a little legwork. So send me an email, live@mudhole.com, and we'll try to get you going, because it's not going to be a fly blank, but it'll act like a fly blank. Trust me. Let's see. So, Bill Leary, does the spine have an effect on the action?
Oh, I saw this.
Did you see this one?
I did.
That's got you written all over it.
You know, this is a tough
I know
one.
the answer.
This is a tough
To
one.
me. For me.
My answer is it doesn't matter.
That's my answer.
That's going to be my answer. I know that's probably not the answer you guys want to hear, but, you know, at that point, I think we're confusing too many things in one sentence. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Let's see. Tom asked, what is the difference in the blank to give it the mag taper? Is it in the thickness? So yeah, Tom, you're gonna notice in a mag taper blank, the butt diameter is gonna be a larger diameter. The unique thing about going from like an MHX mag taper to an MHX NEPS in the Elite Pro Series Those are a complete redesign. The wall thickness of the blank in the butt section is a hair thicker, which allowed us to lessen the outer diameter of that blank. And that's why when I say that the NEPSs, the Elite Pros, have a slightly different bend profile. If we were to put them on the board, they're very similar to a mag taper. They fish very similar. Like if you get a 7.2 heavy in an Elite Pro and you fish it against a 7.3 heavy, because we don't have a 7.2 heavy in a standard MHX mag bass, you fish them, you put them on the board, they're going to be so similar, but you can actually feel the difference slightly. And it's funny because this is not something that we like disagree on. It's not like the ECSM and the ACSM reel seat. But you fish, when we used to bass tournament fish, you fish a lot of Elite Pros.
Love them. Love them.
And I really like them, but I don't fish them. And it's not because they're not good or they don't whatever. There is something about the mag taper, like profile, the bend. I call it a bend profile. I have no idea if that is a real term.
It's like responsiveness, I think is a good way to put it.
It's the way that it feels when you fish it. We can put it on the board and you can be like, wow, that's like super close. And they are super close. But for some reason, the way that I cast, set the hook, work a swim jig, all of that stuff, I prefer the mag taper in a standard MHX or in the Elite X, which we used to call the high modulus blanks like a long time ago. The standard MHX, like tournament, whatever, and the Elite X's are the same profiles. They're the same mag tapers, the same spin jigs, the same everything. The Elite Pro that's in between it's just a different, granted, it's a different material, right? It's a 50 million modulus. The Elite X's are 57, and then your regular like spin jig mag taper are 45s. So, you know, obviously it's different graphite, but the Elite X's and the standard MHX's are the same tapers. In addition to the Elite X's are also a Mitsubishi rayon, and the standards are Toray. But I don't know, it's hard to describe. And for those that have fished the Elite Pros versus the Elite X or whatever, it's a little bit of a different feel.
And not in a bad way.
It's just a little different. And that's why we created that, because we used a different material and we used a different resin system. And it just gave it a slightly different feel. But you can put them on the board and they're close. And that's also why when you look at an Elite Pro, you look at a 7.2 heavy and you look at a 7.3 heavy, you look at the diameters and you're like, whoa, they are like pretty different. Then you put them on the board and you're like, whoa, those are very close. And then you go fish them and you go, whoa, those are kind of different. So it's this, I don't know. The Elite Pros though, they obviously all have their place. I mean, like I said, I fish them on the flats, and the different like weights and powers. Hunter fishes them, tournament fishing. You gotta have both for sure. But it's just like what a little bit of change in the material with a little bit of change in the resin and a little bit of change in a taper can do. You can just be like, whoa, that's just whatever. So anyway, Tom, that was another long. We need like a little bubble that comes in and it's like, that was another long-winded explanation by Chris. All right. Best Elite X.
Let's do one more and get out of here, huh?
All right, sorry. Best Elite X for pitching freshwater bass, like a 7.3. What's your favorite?
Oh, 7.3. Read it back one more time. Hold on.
Pitching to freshwater bass.
Ooh.
Typically like a 7.3. I have a bad feeling you're going to take mine.
I mean, MB 874. MB8, I mean, I'm going to give you 3.
NMB.
NMB.
Yeah, Elite X.
Okay, oh, Elite X, okay. NMB, you know what? Let's just make it easy. NMB 873.5.
Gosh, that's the one I was going to do.
Yeah.
That's it, though. NMB 873.5. That's the one. Let's see. A one-piece blank you'd recommend for peacock. I have a very nice three-piece travel rod that I built down a one piece for a buddy of mine that lives in Jupiter. Are you throwing a lure on that? What I would do, is I would do, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Oh no. I thought that was M-A-I. I see that it's M-A-L. I apologize. I thought that was M-A-I. Sorry, I'm 42 years old. My eyesight's getting to me. I need to get down on this thing. I would stay, what your typical like largemouth bass rod is. I like the 7.2, 7.3 length. I live in South Florida when I'm not up here, so I'm a big peacock bass person. I'm using all the same stuff that I use to largemouth bass fish. If I'm throwing a spinning rod, throwing like a SJ 842. We also make an 872. Those are nice if you're going to throw like a little topwater. I like to throw a devil's horse for them. I know they don't typically eat soft plastics, at least the ones in my pond don't. But if you also want to take and pitch out a live bait, any one of those will work. Go to Ace Hardware or whatever, buy you some domesticated shiners and get after it. But anyway, all right, we had to end on that one. I need to go back to the regular comments. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, let's do special announcement before our last giveaway. We got one last giveaway. Before we get to that,
you guys have hung out here for an hour and 51 minutes. There's almost 300 of y'all here, so you deserve this.
You deserve not a sneak peek, a first look. I don't know what you want to call it. First dibs. Spring cleaning sale. What's up with our words tonight? We're just, I don't know. Spring cleaning sale is live on the website right now. 25% off clearance and overstock items starts now, goes through April 29th. What's that day? Next Tuesday?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever.
What's today? That's 7 days.
Yeah.
So today's the 22nd, and it's going to run all the way.
Goes through next Tuesday. 25% off clearance and overstock products. 25% off the existing price point.
Yeah.
So if something is 50% off, you're getting an additional 25 on top of the 50.
That's good.
So
I was just looking in there today, because there's like a bunch of like CRB guides and stuff, and there's because I was looking. Somebody was asking me about fly rods and stuff. There was some fly guides in there. There's
all kinds of blanks, components, you name it, it's probably in there.
Yeah. And nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
Yet, but you.
Except for
I
you
think
guys.
we're going to send that email, it goes tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah. So you get at least a 12-hour jump.
And obviously supplies are limited, so you guys get first dibs, first crack at the good stuff. There's blanks, freshwater, saltwater, again, components, guides. Lots of good kit items if you guys want to look at get some handle kits. I think there's some guide kits in there.
Yep.
There's a lot of good stuff. So go check that out. And we also have the last giveaway. We're going to do a signature series rod kit of your choice. So this is going to be, you can pick from a couple of my kits, a couple of Chris's kits, Terry Scroggins, Matt Steffen, and of course Jim. Can't forget about Jim.
Yeah.
Let's run that giveaway. See who our last winner of the night is.
I'm just making sure we don't have any wild questions.
John W. John W. Stand by for that last name.
Gary, I think Gary was asking, does Don have a website? He does, right?
Yeah. And if not,
but it's also Backbone.
Yeah, Backbone Custom Rods.
Backbone Custom Rods. And call downstairs or send us an email live@mudhole.com. I'll get you connected. Don't worry.
John Wacker. John Wacker.
That was pretty easy.
Fairly easy on the names tonight, I'm not going to lie.
I didn't hear some of the other names. I was too busy trying to do...
Who do we have? Grand prize of the night was John Wacker.
I was trying to do an oil change on the Dremel tool.
Who else? Scroll up there real
Breaking
quick if you
blanks
could.
and such.
The deflection toolkit went to Tom Moore and then Don Kraus with the Spine Finder. So
that's easy stuff.
Yep.
Easy stuff.
So there's your winners for tonight. Some great prizes. Again, make sure you guys email live@mudhole.com.
Yes.
LIVE@mudhole.com. Chris will get you taken care of. So yeah, what else? What else you got over there?
I think we about I think we about got everybody, to be honest with you. And I'm sorry if I didn't get to everybody, but you're more than welcome to send me an email, live@mudhole.com. I actually get more emails than you think. And I actually get more nice emails than you think, too. You know? Sometimes you think, somebody might be in there venting while they're sitting in traffic and they're just going to take it out on me. But no, yeah, it's been great. And we love you guys. So anytime you reach out, we love it. We absolutely love it. So, yeah, we'll get you out of here a hair under 8:30. I'm sure, what do we have tonight? I think we're doing chicken wangs or something tonight. No more Hot Pockets. We've had enough Italian this week. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, we had a hard night tonight. There were some technical difficulties,
some chaos.
Yeah.
Lots of great questions, though. Appreciate all the questions you guys.
It was another great
asked,
Q&A show.
Hopefully, we answered them
For sure.
as good as we could have.
Yeah, and I know we had Birdman and Steve in the war room. Do we have anybody else in the war room tonight? I didn't see Sean in there, but Sean was he was busy today with some customers. Patrick was there at the beginning, yeah, for sure. And of course, we appreciate the guys doing all the graphics and getting everything ready because we are only on this side. So for those that have visited us during a live show, you'd be surprised at how much it takes. We've got people in the war room. We've got Justin and Uncle Phil here on the ones and twos. We have 3 cameras on us, all this lighting and all this stuff. And then we just stand up here and make fools out of ourselves. So we have actually the easier job. But we appreciate everybody watching. And of course, really appreciate all the team members in the back, even, the guys that do all the graphics and all that stuff. Hoffman is always helping out, direct it and be like, no, move this and make Chris look dumber on the cover and all that stuff. So our next show, though, is going to be in a month. And that is going to be, what are we doing?
Guides.
Guide to guides or something? All the guides?
Guides Q&A.
Guides Q&A?
Guide to guides.
So it's going to be one of those deals where we wanted to do blank Q&A. Now we're doing the guide Q&A. We're also going to have, we're going to be doing a blog on this soon. I want to talk about things like, do you really need to prep your guide feet? Is prepping your guide feet, could it actually harm your rod build or not? We're going to go through all these different things. We're going to go through like, what is a zirconium ring? Do I need a ring? What weighs more? Things like that. We're going to get the scale out. I think Hunter's got a little tiny gram scale. I don't know what he uses it for, but he's got one. And we're going to do that. That's going to be episode 122. And that's going to be in May. I can't believe we're in May already.
Almost.
May 20th at 6:30. So anyway, we need to go eat some dinner and have some sweet tea. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Congratulations to all the winners. What else you got?
That's it.
Hunter McCamey, my left-hand man as always. For those, if there's anybody that's going to be playing in the golf tournament this weekend, remember, you can sign up by tomorrow night at midnight. And if you join us, come hassle us. Hunter and I are going to be there. We're going to be playing with Taylor Bellinger, who used to work here. And Hunter's sweet wife is going to get paired with 3 goons out there.
And carry us, hopefully, to victory.
Yeah, dude, she can hit bombs from the red tees. She is definitely going to be, we're going to be taking her drive on every hole.
Probably.
So, fantastic. All right, we'll see y'all in May. Thank you for joining us for the blank Q&A, and we appreciate all the great questions. We'll see y'all for Guides Q&A.
Thanks for watching.
Take care.